Hello everyone, I'm Yunus. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will discuss a few EC2 interview questions. So let's start. So the first question is about the billing part. There are two types of savings plans for EC2. EC2 Instance Savings Plan and Compute Savings Plan. So the question may be directed at which is more flexible and which one gives more discounts. So basically EC2 Instant Savings Plans provide the lowest prices or greatest discounts. It can give up to 72% discount, but there are more restrictions compared to Compute Savings Plans. In EC2 Instant Savings Plan, you have to commit to usage of individual instance families in a region. Example, you have to commit for M5 usage in US East 1 or M5 usage in Mumbai or Hyderabad. This automatically reduces your cost on the selected instance family in that region, regardless of availability zone, instance size, operating system or tenancy. So it gives you the flexibility to change your usage between instances within a family, within the region. You can move from C5 X large running Windows to C5 2X large running Linux and still get promised savings. But if you want to change the region or if you want to change the instance family, etc., you are not allowed. But if you go for Compute Savings Plan, it provides the most flexibility, though the discount is only up to 66%. You can change your EC2 instances regardless of instance family, size, availability zone, region, OS or operating system or tenancy. And very important point is that it also applies to Fargate or Lambda usage, not just EC2. This EC2 Instant Saving Plan is only for EC2. For example, with Compute Savings Plans, you can change from C4 to M5 instances or shift a workload from one region to another region or move workload from EC2 to Fargate, that is EC2 to containers or EC2 to Lambda at any time and automatically continue to pay the savings plan's price. That provides maximum flexibility. In Compute Savings Plan, basically you are committing to a dollar expenditure. You will say, I'm ready to spend $100 this month. So within that $100, how much our Fargate, how much our Lambda, how much our EC2 in whichever region you can use. But in EC2 Instant Savings Plan, you are actually committing to the usage of specific instance family types within a specific region. So that is the difference between these two. You can read further in the AWS documentation. Another question is about from which IP address can you get metadata of an EC2? Kind of simple question. Please remember this: 169.254, 169.254. That is the IP address which gives the metadata of an EC2. Another question is about how to ensure that a software is already installed when the EC2 is launched for the first time. When you launch the EC2 itself, you want the web server to be running on that EC2. How can you achieve that? You can do that using user data. When you are launching an EC2, there is a text box where you can include your shell script. That field is called user data. You can include shell script like this, and you can see that this shell script will install Apache 2 in that EC2. Please remember that user data will be executed only when the instance is booted first time. If you stop that instance later and start it again, it will not execute the user data. Please remember that. Another question is about Elastic IP is charged when you don't associate it with an EC2. If you associate it with EC2, it is not charged. Why? Because you may expect the other way, right? If you have associated the Elastic IP with an EC2, you expect it to be charged, but that is not how it is. What is the reason? See, Elastic IP is a public IP address which is a limited resource. If you have associated your Elastic IP with an EC2, it is being used. AWS is supposed to give you a public IP anyways. So it is not being charged separately, or rather the EC2 charges will include the charges for the public IP as well. But if the Elastic IP is not associated with any EC2, you have already taken that Elastic IP address, but you haven't associated that with any EC2, you are just wasting that resource. there is a public IP which is a rare commodity. So to prevent you from wasting that particular resource, you will be charged if an elastic IP is taken by you, but if you are not associating it with any EC2. The next question is about instance store versus EBS as boot volume, elastic block store or instance store. Which is faster? That is a question. Which is faster in terms of writing and reading from the EC2? Basically, instance store is faster because it is physically part of your physical server. But EBS is like a network USB stick. It is not physically part of the server, but it resides maybe in another corner of the AWS data center. You have to connect using wires. Because of that, there is some delay, or it is not as fast as instance store. Now another question about the instance type name M6G.2x large. Which aspect of the name indicates the instance family and helps to determine its best use case? Here M actually stands for the instance family, which says it is memory optimized. 6G is the generation and 2x large is the instance size. So instead of 2x large, it can be 4x large or 8x large, 16x large, etc. Or it can be medium, micro, small, etc. So here M is the letter which stands for the instance family, which shows that it is memory optimized. Okay, let's go to the next question. For high performance databases, which instance type is better suited? Which EC2 instance type is better suited? Memory optimized instance type is better suited for high performance databases. If it is a batch processing job, compute optimized instance types are better suited. Next question is about distributing the load. Which is the component which distributes a workload across several Amazon EC2 instances? It is of course Elastic Load Balancer, and there are different types of load balancers. You should have some idea about that as well. Example, application load balancer, network load balancer, classic load balancer, gateway load balancer, etc. So you should know, especially you should know the difference between network load balancer and application load balancer. Next question is, which is the most cost efficient EC2 purchasing option? Of course it is Spot instance, and you should know in which scenarios you can actually use Spot instance. So we have a question regarding the Spot instance usage as well. Spot instances can be used for what kind of workloads? You know, Spot instance is something which AWS may take it away from you if there is huge demand from on-demand customers. So which means that whatever work you are doing with these Spot instances, it may get interrupted midway. So any workload which can be interrupted and restarted later, that kind of workloads can be used with Spot instances. For example, if you are doing social media sentiment analysis, you can use Spot instance. It is okay even if you are interrupted. You can save the work and restart later. There is no real-time process completion pressure on that. Next question is about instance profile. What is instance profile? An instance profile is more or less an IAM role, which is assigned to the EC2 instance. If an application running on that EC2 need to access another AWS resource, it can assume the corresponding role provided by the instance profile so that it gets the necessary permissions to access the other AWS resource. So basically EC2 instance profile is more or less an IAM role assigned to the EC2 instance, or you can even consider it as a container which contains the IAM role given to that EC2 instance. Next question is about public IP is changed when you stop the EC2 and start again. True or false? It is true. The public IP will be taken away from your EC2 the moment you stop that EC2. Why is it so? Because public IP is a rare commodity. So nobody wants to waste that resource. So the moment you stop your EC2, anyway that EC2 is not functional, so your public IP will be taken away from you. And when you restart it again, a new public IP will be given to you. So please remember that over a restart, your EC2's public IP address changes, but private IP address remains same. Next question is about, will I be able to access my EBS snapshots using the regular Amazon S3 APIs? We know that the EBS snapshots are stored in S3. So can I access those snapshots just like I access any other object in an S3 bucket? No, you can't. EBS snapshots are only available through Amazon EC2 APIs. You can't directly access them from S3 buckets. Another question, what is the difference between hibernate and stop? In the case of stop, your instance gets shut down and RAM is cleared. In the case of hibernate, your RAM data is persisted or it is copied and kept intact when the instance gets hibernated. So that when you come back from hibernation, you can get that RAM data back. Next question is, what is VM import and export? VM import export enables customers to import virtual machine images in order to create Amazon EC2 instances. Again, for more information, please go through the documentation. So we are here, our aim is to just introduce some of the commonly asked questions. Next question, how will my monthly bill show per second or per hour billing details for EC2? Although EC2 charges will be calculated based on per second basis, actually the monthly bill will show cumulative usage for each instance in hours. I can quickly show you last month's bill. And if you come down, Elastic Compute Cloud, you can see that it actually shows the number of hours, 124.25, 3.68, etc. But actually the calculation is done on a per second basis. Next question, how can I reduce cost of reserved instances? Or what are the parameters which impacts the cost of reserved instances? Basically, you can reserve the instances for 1 year period or 3 year period. So if you choose 3 year period, the cost will be less. Also, you can pay the complete amount upfront or a partial amount upfront. In the beginning itself you can pay, or you can also choose not to pay any amount upfront. You will get maximum discount if you choose 3 year period and full upfront payment. Okay, next question is, which is the SSH port number? It is 22, very simple. All of you who have started working on AWS will definitely know this. Which firewall gives protection at individual server level? Is it NACL or security group? NACL or security group? It is actually security group. All of us know about that. NACL works at the subnet level, security group works at the instance level. Next question, slightly confusing one. What is the difference between dedicated instance and dedicated host? This is a very commonly asked question, many people make mistake. In both cases, the selected hardware server will be used to host EC2 instances for a single customer. If you are that customer and if you have taken a dedicated instance or dedicated host, a complete physical hardware server will be dedicated for your usage. So you can host other EC2 instances on the same hardware server, but other customers will not be allowed to use your physical server. But if you are not going for dedicated instance or dedicated host, the same physical server may host EC2 instances from multiple clients. Let's come back to this topic. As I said, in both cases, the selected hardware server will be used to host EC2 instances for a single customer. In case of dedicated instance, it is possible that the underlying physical hardware may get replaced due to various reasons. For example, a failure occurred, or for whatever reason, AWS may shift all your EC2 instances to another physical hardware, but that physical hardware also will be unshared. It won't be shared with other tenants. But when it comes to dedicated host, there may be some software licenses linked to the specific hardware server. Hence, you will need to stick to the same physical server throughout. You can't take all the EC2 instances. AWS cannot take all the EC2 instances from your hardware server and then move it into another physical server, because there may be some software licenses linked to this specific hardware server. In such cases, you have to go for dedicated host so that physical server will remain with you. It cannot be replaced. Next question is about autoscaling group. What is desired capacity in autoscaling group? How does it differ from minimum capacity? In your autoscaling group, whatever number you specify as desired capacity, it will launch that many instances in the beginning. For example, you may say minimum 2, maximum 10, and desired is 5. So when you launch that autoscaling group, it will launch 5 instances because you specified desired capacity as 5. Later on, based on your scale up and scale down policies, the desired capacity count will keep changing automatically. The minimum capacity and maximum capacity will not automatically change unless you change it manually. But desired capacity will keep changing based on your scale up and scale down policies. And you will see that always the desired capacity will match with the number of instances actually running in that particular autoscaling group. So desired capacity is the one which controls, or the autoscaling, the scaling process keep changing the desired capacity number. You can see that when you create the autoscaling group and you go through the scaling process, scale up or scale down, you will notice that the desired capacity number has actually changed. The next question is about the keypair. Why do you need to create keypair while launching EC2? To log into an EC2 using secure shell or SSH, you need to create and associate a keypair with that instance. The keypair has 2 parts, a public key and private key. Both has to match, then only that login process will succeed. Private key will be downloaded to your laptop and public key will be stored in the EC2 which you launched. You can log in only if your private key matches with the public key stored in the EC2. So now you know why the keypair is required. Keypair is required to enable your secure shell access. If that keypair mechanism is not there, it can impact the security of your EC2 instances. Okay, so that's it. I have 22 questions for now. I will come back with more interview questions and answers on other AWS topics as well. Hope you will find these questions useful. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Bye.